When a country is occupied by another country, the actions of the occupied country are clear. The most important of this is to keep the occupying troops out of the country as much as possible. For this, it is necessary to immediately launch resistance against the occupying troops. Meeting the invading troops at the points closest to the borders of the country will create an advancing for the defending country. Under wartime conditions, the resources and facilities within the country are of great importance for the continuity of the defending country. In order to use resources efficiently during mobilization, there must be no enemy threats. Another advantage of defending country is that it is closer to its own capabilities. There are many views on the advantages of defense and military doctrine. Since the beginning of the war, the Ukrainian defense tried to meet the invading Russian troops closest to the border. On the front lines that emerged, the Ukrainian defense fought strongly. The Russian troops attempting to invade were stuck in the front line when they could not break through the Ukrainian defense. This pinching of Russian troops facilitated Ukrainian counterattack operations. In the last days of the war, Ukrainian counterattack operations were frequently carried out. As the operation continued, Ukrainian President Zelensky made an important statement. According to Zelensky, the war is slowly moving towards Russian territory. Now, if you're ready, let's examine the latest developments together. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said that the other day the war is slowly moving back to Russian territory after another round of drone strikes on Moscow. Ukrainian President Zelensky stated that Russian aggression is bankrupt on the battlefield. He said that so-called special military operation, which the Russian leadership had expected to last for a week or two, continues hundreds of days later. Stating that Ukraine is getting stronger, Zelensky said that the war is gradually moving to Russian territory. Attacks on Russia's symbolic centers and military bases will continue, and it was stated that this process is a natural process. However, Ukrainian President Zelensky announced that Russia has plans to attack Ukraine's critical energy infrastructure. Assessments of likely scenario will be made and senior Ukrainian officials will come together to make plans. Zelensky visited wounded fighters and medical teams during a trip to Ukraine's western Ivano-Frankivsk region the other day. Zelensky made important statements to press during this visit. It is thought that this statement signals a large-scale Ukrainian counterattacks to be organized in the coming days. Ukrainian forces are slowly advancing around the city of Bakhmut and at the same time making some gains elsewhere, the Eastern Front, Ukrainian officials said. According to Serhiy Chvrati, who represents the eastern faction of the army, the Kiev army surrounding Bakhmut has managed to gain hundreds of meters a day and seize kilometers of territory every week. Chvrati described this tactic as a slow but steady method of progress. Recognizing that they have comparable forces and means, Chvrati said that they use sound tactic. He concluded by stating that they used the tactics of coverage, maneuver, ambush, and direct frontal attack, and that they were therefore advancing slowly and steadily. North of Bakhmut, near the focal point cities of Liman and Kupiansk, the Ukrainian military spokesman said the Russian army maintained a presence of around 100,000 troops, but suffered heavy losses. A little further east, the Serbyansky forest of Luhansk region is a continuous battlefield, Chvrati said. He noted that despite Russia's strategic actions, Ukraine has had successful on the front line. The Ukrainian army had described to mobilize more troops to break through the Russian defenses. Ukrainian officials did not share information about which new units have been committed to the offensive. However, according to information from local sources, the Ukrainian army has added vehicles equipped with Eastern armor and mined units at least one key section of the southern front. Geolocated video fragments shows that Western armor such as Bradley fighting vehicles is part of the re-owned offensive and that experienced units are being brought into battle. But the tight operational security of the Ukraine presents a full assessment of what is being done and where to restart the counteroffensive. Ukrainian forces struggled to break through Russian lines due to the layers of defense. They made use of tank traps, tracking systems, and dense minefields. According to experts, Ukrainian military's critical need is to build momentum and force Russian commanders to make painful choices about where and how to deploy their units. While these discussions are taking place in the background, the Ukrainian army is continuing operations on the front line. Russian sources claim that Ukrainian forces continued to attack northwest and southwest of Bakhmut in the Donetsk Eastern Zaporizhia Oblast borders area and in western Zaporizhia Oblast. Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar reported last week that the Ukrainian forces had liberated 2 square kilometers in the Bakhmut area and 12.6 square kilometers in the direction of Berdyansk in the western Donetsk Eastern Zaporizhia Oblast border area and Melitopol, western Zaporizhia Oblast. In addition to the developments on the front line, the Ukrainian government is working to put the country back on its feet. A statement was made by the Kiev administration, which is trying to improve the region destroyed by the war conditions. The statement made by Alexander Kubrakov, Minister of Communications, Regions and Infrastructure Developments of the Ukraine, pleased the Ukrainian people. According to the statements, Ukraine has restored about 65% of more than 700 heat supply facilities damaged by Russian shelling. At the same time, almost 100% of affected thermal production enterprises have been restored. Another statement was made by the Ukrainian Ministry of Finance. According to the statements, Ukraine has received $1.25 billion in grant funding from the United States. The grant funding is aimed to regulating state budget expenditures, in particular to pay wages for state employees, state social assistance programs, and other social payments. Do you think the war will spread to Russian territory? What would be the consequences of a war spreading to Russian territory? How do you assess the tactical approach of the Ukrainian army? Do you think the Ukrainian army's counterattack capabilities are improving as time goes on? How do you think the course of the war will continue in the coming days? We value your opinion. Please share it with us.